Hi, Lynn.
Hello.
So I'm just going to introduce you again. I'm not sure if we got the first part of our first Life Matters Live, but we're here today to talk about how to manage a meltdown. I was giving examples of what questions we have that come into the practice, that we want to take the questions out of the therapy rooms into everyone's lounge rooms,
Yeah,
to bring our Life Matters Live and talk about the matters of life. So welcome, Lynn.
thank
Thank
you.
you for being today. Can you quickly tell us a bit about your passions?
My passions. Oh, in very short, I like writing. I like educating. I like all sorts of things. I like being a mum. There you go. That's my main passion.
Oh, that's
My three babies.
good. Um,
Sometimes. That's right.
and I hear
Yeah.
there's a few hats you wear too, Lynn, in the practice here.
Yeah.
So what are your favourite roles you like?
Well, obviously, yeah, I like working as a psychologist, but particularly hypnotherapy these days, teaching mindfulness, educating about the brain, nervous system, and I like writing my books. So I like doing those things,
On
yeah.
top of that, you're the creator of the Emotional Regulation Boss Brain program. So
Yeah.
should we up here, we just like call you our creative goddess?
Oh, no. Sounds nice. I don't know if I can take
You're
that.
is such a wonderful work. So that's why we wanted to reach out to you today and ask you a few questions. So in the moment of a meltdown, it could be where we're at home, the phone's ringing, we're cooking dinner, the TV's blaring, or it could be when we're in public. Most of the times when people are trying to work and they start a phone call, they get
Yeah.
a meltdown. So
Yeah.
no one has a manual on these type of things, and we're just winging it. So we want your help. What
Yeah. Well, yeah.
meltdown tantrums, like why does it even happen?
Well, well, what's that, sorry?
So where does it begin? Why does it happen?
Well, my simple answer would be a combination between temperament and needs not being met. So we're all born with free will, yeah, and some temperament, even kids, and some temperaments want to go after it, even more so than others. So temperament is definitely a factor, and I work in a way where behaviours come about when needs aren't met. Now, needs can vary from child to child, from person to person, but just as a general guide, we all come into the world needing core things, like, for example, needing to really connect with people and really avoid rejection. So when someone's not connecting with someone, that's a need not being met, for example. So if, just to put simply, if we can start to see behaviours through the lens, if you like, of a couple of core needs, like their need to belong, yeah, and they need to feel like they know where they fit, and a need to feel significant in some way, like they've got a bit of power or influence over their lives. So, for example, a lot of the kids that come into the clinic are kids that look rigid, so they're happy to, well, as long as they know we're going along this way, but then life comes along and suddenly they have to change very quickly, and that causes, behaviours. But if you look at it through the lens of need not being met, they're happy, they're comfortable, they're safe, knowing they're going this way. But when plans change, oh my goodness, I don't have this influence or this power over my life. I've got to do something, they don't have a choice in. And for some kids, that can really lead to the behaviours. Yeah. So, and it's really about, if we get to it, it's really about the nervous system and the brain and the way that the kids are interpreting what's going on for them, and then the message that's going to a part of their brain.
Okay, so that sounds interesting. Can you tell us more about what the brain actually, like what's happening inside the brain of our children?
With big emotions.
Please
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. Well, very simply, I hope a lot of people have probably seen this a lot. It's Dan Siegel's hand map of the brain. Right, so this is, number one, which is very basic. Yeah, bottom of the brain, responsible for everything automatic. Number two is the emotional brain. That's where it all happens. Number three, the smart brain, kind of behind the forehead and all the way back. So in here is a structure called the amygdala. Okay, so now this is where it largely happens. So in here, the amygdala's job is, all it does 24/7 is take in data. right? From what's going on inside, how they think, how they believe, their little genetics, what they've been exposed to, everything they think, see, feel, how they're interpreting things, taking in data, going to the amygdala. The amygdala decides one of two things: whether we are safe and comfortable or unsafe, uncomfortable. So when the amygdala gets that message that we're safe, we're fine. We're in the calm zone in our nervous system. When, however, the amygdala gets the message that we're unsafe, its job then is to switch on our protection system because it thinks we're literally unsafe. That's what we see as behaviors. So it really comes down to whatever way the child or us are interpreting a situation, however children and adults interpret a situation, that message is going to the amygdala. And if for us, we're uncomfortable or unsafe, the amygdala will just switch on the protection system and do its job. And that's what we see.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's really about an elevation. When we're unsafe and our protection system switched on, and we see the tantrum behaviors or the outward behaviors, it's like we're moved into our nervous system. We're moving up in our nervous system to be more elevated and, fighty flighty.
That makes sense. Yeah. So when our children are in the tantrum mode, in that meltdown moment,
Yeah.
what's the best thing we can do?
Well, yes, they're tricky questions. The best thing we can do is obviously, and we've heard it before, is stay calm. But I'm a mum. I know that's not always easy, but that's what we aim for. It's what we aim for because we've got the same reactions with our brains and our nervous system. So part of when our nervous system is worked up, that's because our protection system switched on. That part of that process is we lose access to our smart brain, our smart abilities. So that's all the abilities to think clearly, to problem solve, to plan. Okay, so the main aim in us is to calm our brain down so we've got access to all of our brain functions. And that's our aim eventually in them too. So it's understanding that their nervous system are in that higher level, their brain is not functioning as well as it could be. So therefore, it's very difficult for them to take in, words like why, explain it to me. What are you doing? What will we do now? They're kind of, it just makes them go higher and higher. So the first port of call is understanding that. I think education about the brain and the nervous system is gold for that reason, because that can help us to pause and give us reason to find that to pause in us.
Yeah.
Try and calm down so we can switch that our brain so we've got the best chance possible, and then so that might have to be waited out, and then then we go in.
Yeah. Okay. So we all know all the children are different. Temperaments and things like that. So is a tantrum and meltdown always outwards?
No.
No,
No, because stereotypically, you see a little kid, doing this sort of stuff, they're tantruming, but it's got to do with how our body is wired to protect us. So if you can imagine a nervous system, you've got like a band, that's the calm zone. That's where we're all calm. We interact really well with each other. We think clearly, our brain's on. Then, an upper quadrant, we're worked up, and they're the outward behaviors, but that's the way, that's one way our body protects us when our amygdala thinks we're unsafe. The other way is we get shut down. So we're a bit more lower. So that's either, everything slows down. That happens with animals. They've been chased by their prey and it looks like they fall over dead, but they're not. It's just it's the way their body protects us. That can happen in humans. More typically, though, these are the kids that look like they're just looking deer in headlights, so they look like they're frozen, but inside it's all still going on and churny. Yeah, they've still got that reaction, but they look like they're frozen. So even having an understanding of that and interpreting things like, seeing a child like that rather than interpreting it and assuming that they're not listening to you, maybe, that's the way their body reacts when their amygdala thinks they're unsafe, when a need's not being met.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and how they're interpreting that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to quick shout out to everyone again to thanks for being here, and to please send through any comments. We'll get back to you and answer you after the live. And I want to thank you, Lynn, for answering all
thank you.
questions. But just to summarize so far, what you've given us is the tips. The three main points is that the behavior springs from child's interpretations of their needs not being met.
Yep.
And when a child is in a tantrum, understand that their brain is not it's telling them that they're safe or unsafe.
Their
So
brain is, well, their brain is, it's their brain's offline because their needs aren't being met. They're uncomfortable. The amygdala has sensed that we're unsafe or uncomfortable, and its job when it senses that is to switch on the protection system, and that means their nervous system is, you know, elevated or shut down, and that's what we see as behaviours.
yeah, so we calm them down from that and understand that their brain's not functioning in the smart brain. And then the last one is, when we notice our kids are in a tantrum, is to stay calm ourselves.
They've flipped their lid and we're flipped our lid. So it's kind of like, otherwise we're like this. And this is what happens all the time. I know, I'm a mum, I've been there. And we do blow our top and go off. And I know it. It's like, then it works. It's another layer, you know. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's the aim is to, over time, have some sort of pause.
Okay.
Hang on, we've got a question.
I'm just going to...
Oh, you can ask that.
In. We've got a question from Felicity. Yes. Should we just let them go for it and yell and scream and tantrum?
If you want to, you can. Yeah, look, that's an indication. If they're yelling and screaming, that's, if you can start to see that now, as that's their nervous system. They're heightened in their nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay. So kicking and screaming, what do they need? That's, if you know that they're kicking and screaming, their nervous system's elevated because basically their brain thinks they're unsafe. What does your child need when they feel unsafe? Okay. Yeah. And that's usually some sort of connection, some sort of comfort. This is why it's important to be able to stay as much as possible, stay as calm ourselves. So we've got access to our brain to even remember that. They're feeling unsafe in some way. Doesn't make sense to us, but from their brain's point of view, yes. So what does my child usually respond to be comfort? Sometimes kids won't let us near them. Sometimes they need time on their own. And so it's knowing what our children and what makes them feel safe and comfortable. And sometimes it's about riding it out, especially if they're really gone, you know, their nervous system's up. So ideally, we know our child enough just to kind of, and over time, develop that knowledge. You know, ideally we'd get them here because it's easier to come down than from up here.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much, Lynn. I'm going to wrap you up a bit and get along. Thank you. Felicity said thank you for answering her question. So what you're saying is a lot of the tools that you're talking about, I'm going to do a bit of a plug for the Life Matters Psychologist and the Boss program, can be taught through this program. It's a 10-week program where you education of the brain and how to implement these calm down tools. Each week they learn, and each week they practice with biotechnology, wearing a heart band that's linked to their heart rate, and an app they use that's designed to increase their heart rate, and they get a visual of how to reduce their heart rate again, and using the calm down techniques and repeating that, using it every day, so that forms the habit and forms those neural pathways to be able to use those calm down techniques in every situation in their life, at school, at home, not just.
So it's a helping hand. It's
want more information about the program. And one last question we got for you, Lynn, to send us out into the evening where everyone can go home and sleep easier because they've got these great tips from you today. So you've got 3 kids, you know the challenges. What is your calm down tool?
My calm down tool. Well, because I do mindfulness, I teach mindfulness. I'm aware that my first protocol is I grip my teeth at the back, so I know that's my cue, like that. Then I've taught myself that goes straight to my feet, so I feel my feet on the ground. Okay, then that prompts me to sounds weird. That prompts me to see a ship sailing on smooth waters. Right, that's got to be me, and then it just goes from there. So I guess my main cool down tip at visual, and our mind responds most to the words we send it and the pictures we send it. So maybe that's why I do that. Yeah. So self-awareness, know that I'm about to, or I've started to. That's the clue my body gives me. Focus on the feet, feel them on the ground. See.
And that. Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much.
You're
Do you
welcome.
have any other comments, questions? What are some quick practical tips to give your kid in the moment? Oh, so I think I answered that with the Boss Brain program. A lot of the tips we went through, we will post this live again so you can hear the 3 main tips we've given you tonight.
Christy, can I
And
say
yeah,
probably the main thing to get across is that when they're in tantrum, any strategy is going to be limited. Yeah, they need, and that's why, understanding that their nervous system is heightened, and part of that is their brain is, not functioning as best they can. So even all the tips that sort of like someone like me kind of like gives parents and children, until they're calm and their nervous system is calmer, that's when we do those strategies. And those strategies are really about sending the message to their amygdala that now they're safe and comfortable. Okay, and that, look, we can go into that at another time, but that is, it's really all about calming down, is really about sending that message. It all comes down to all the tools you can break them all down to. It's really sending the message to the amygdala that now we're safe, now we're comfortable, because then it doesn't need to switch on the protection system, and then we don't see the behaviors.
well, you've made me feel very safe tonight, Lynn. I
Oh,
hope
that's
everyone.
very interesting.
I feel safe in going forward in managing my children's
Oh,
meltdown.
good. That's good. That's good.
So thank you very
Yeah.
much. And yes, thank you everyone else for being here. We look forward to welcoming everyone else back next week. We're going to run another Life Matters Live series. Next week, it will be about how to manage mum guilt and the head noise.
The big
So,
one.
yeah, we look forward to welcoming you back. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, Lynn.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Right, thank you. Bye.
Jay, I've got very